Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to you whenever you may be watching this. So, this is the first episode of JD's Racing Voyager show, and I would like to give a little background onto why I'm doing this real quick. A little bit about me. I grew up in North Carolina. My dad is a mechanic, so with that, I grew up going to races with him, and throughout my childhood, I really developed an enjoyment of racing. So every Sunday, I would sit with him as we would watch the NASCAR races. So I've been a big fan for a long time. I'm 27, so I've been watching for as long as I can remember. And so recently I moved to Las Vegas, and one thing I've done is I've gotten into the sports books here. When I go into a sportsbook location, I notice that there are odds for basketball, MLB, NFL, and one sport that I notice is missing from having a larger presence within sportsbook is NASCAR, and that's a little surprising to me. I know I've read some statistics where it does not make up a very large percentage of the income for these sports books, and I'm curious about that. I mean, I know people have been betting on horse racing for such a long time. You would think that the wagers on racing would transfer over into a sport like NASCAR, and my goal with this podcast is to do my part to help enhance that. I'm very passionate about NASCAR. I have really been a voice for it to my friends, so it's been great so far. A lot of people that I've talked to about it have gotten into it, and I think one gateway for NASCAR to increase their viewership, overcome some of the struggles they've had in the last few years, would be to really focus on the fun of the sports betting aspect. And I've been doing it since I moved here in December, and hey, it's going great for me so far. So I just wanted to, be here. I'm also thinking about making a Twitter account if this page gets somewhat of a following. For me, I'm not really looking for like a huge following. I just want, if I can get one person into the sport through this medium, it's worth it to me. So I'm thinking about doing like other social media pages to allow individuals to reach out with personal questions. Going off of that, I do want to say that this is not associated with any of the sports books. These are views of myself and what I perceive based on my understanding of NASCAR as a whole. So, yeah, I will be using BetMGM and also Boyd Sportsbook, as I have accounts with those two particular mediums. I just wanted to reiterate that these are my opinions. They are not associated with the sports books. I also want to take a sec to remind you to gamble responsibly. My advice is don't put in any more than what you're willing to lose. Think of it as paying for entertainment. Think of it as paying as like an enhancement of your enjoyment. So if you look at it that way, you lose. You come into it knowing that there is a risk of losing. You win. Hey, that's added bonus to enjoying an excellent and exciting sporting event. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. So, I have a list of some of the picks based on the sportsbook that I use, and I'm going to give a little bit of reasoning as to why I believe these particular picks are going to be successful this week. So, it is April. First weekend in April, so we're going to be at Richmond Motor Speedway. There is a Cup and an Xfinity race. So tonight, based on the odds I'm seeing, all that has been listed is the odds for the Cup events. So all of this is going to be about Cup. I may do another video tomorrow once some of the odds for Xfinity come out. I really like the matchups. It doesn't look like BetMGM has posted any matchups. So we're going to focus on the group bets, the top 10 bets, and the top 3 bets for Boyd Gaming. I'm also going to give my thoughts on some long shots, and then at the end I'm going to pick a winner. So I spent a lot of time doing like a exposition on me, background, why I'm doing this. So the pick talk is going to be quick because I don't want this video to run too long. So we're going to jump right in. So one of the wagers I'm looking at this week is the Group 1 betting, and let me get logged into my app. So our Group 1 bet features Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex. And so for me, this one was kind of difficult. I narrowed it down to 2 drivers, one with recent success at Richmond, one with recent success everywhere. And I'm looking at Martin Truex and Kyle Larson, the reasoning being that Martin Truex won the last time we were out at Richmond. He's consistently up front. Kyle Larson has been consistently up front everywhere. With that being said, I mean, this year he has not gotten the finishes outside of a second at Las Vegas, also the win at Auto Club, California. So this week I'm leaning towards Truex, and my reasoning behind that is this week is kind of difficult because we haven't gotten a chance to see how the next gen is going to perform on a short track. So I'm going based off of recent success. I know JGR has not done spectacular this year with the next gen car, so there is a little bit of uncertainty. I do think Martin Truex is a pretty safe and solid bet this week based on past success and, based on the information we have to go on, which is not necessarily recent short track performance, as this is the first short track of the year. And it's a pretty decent payout. I mean, the odds are 270 to 100. So if you're unfamiliar with betting, that means for every $100 you put in, you would win 270 if your wager that you risk is successful. Moving on to group number 2. So this group features Joey Logano, William Byron, Ross Chastain, and Tyler Reddick. And for me, the quick thought, got to go with Joey Logano. He has won in the past at Richmond, sometimes in a dominating fashion. He's the only driver in this group of drivers who has previously won at Richmond, and that weighs a lot in my personal rationale. William Byron, Ross Chastain both have won races this year. Tyler Reddick is going to win a race this year. When? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be this weekend. I think he's got a better shot at maybe Bristol Dirt or one of the mile-and-a-half tracks that we have upcoming on the schedule. So it's a decent payout as well, 250 to 100 for Joey Logano. I feel like this is probably the group I'm most confident about if I were going to just wager on one. Our third group features Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, and Chase Briscoe. So for me, Group 3 came down to Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin. Ryan Blaney, I'm a Ryan Blaney fan, so try not to be biased, try to look at it objectively. With that being said, I'm in Richmond. It's not been his track. I don't anticipate great things from him this week. The pit crew has struggled as well. Christopher Bell, I haven't really seen much to make me think he's going to do great either. He doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence for this weekend compared to his teammates and similar equipment, all who have wins at Richmond. With that being said, I mean, he surprised me last week in the top 10 after overcoming the steering issue, so you never know. Chase Briscoe, the reason I was between Denny Hamlin and Chase Briscoe is because Chase Briscoe won at the closest track to Richmond that we've ran out, which is Phoenix, and he's been fast all year. He's really having a great second year. With that being said, I had to go with Denny Hamlin at a 230 to 100 odds, and my reasoning was, I mean, he's consistently performed at Richmond. He has multiple wins. He's won super late model races here. I think he's going to have a strong weekend. Again, same thing with the Martin Truex pick. It's kind of hard to tell, with it being the first race for the next gen car, we got to look at previous success. Out of this group, I feel pretty strongly that Denny Hamlin's going to do better than his teammate Christopher Bell, also Ryan Blaney, who struggles at Richmond. Chase Briscoe, a little iffy as to who's going to finish better out of those two. I do think Denny has a stronger history at Richmond. Specifically, Chase Briscoe has been running better this year, which is why there was some uncertainty there. So we're going to move on to the top three, which is a bet that I really like. And honestly, these are winner picks, possible winner picks, that it's good to bet on the top three because, not everyone can win, obviously. And top three normally pays out pretty decently for drivers who are favorites to even win the race. And the three that I picked for top three this week were Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and Martin Truex Jr. Again, Martin Truex Jr. being the most recent winner. Denny Hamlin having one of the strongest records at Richmond, and Kyle Larson dominating everywhere since he's been at Hendrick. I know that Richmond has been a track where he's struggled a little bit. I do think he's in for a bounce back week. He's kind of not had the finishes that have reflected his performance half the time this year, so I'm looking for a good weekend from him. I don't think he's going to win necessarily. I'll get to that here in a minute. And the odds on the top three are 280 to 100 for Martin Truex, 230 to 100 for Kyle Larson, and 340 to 100 for Denny Hamlin, which would be a great payout. Low risk, high reward in this situation, I think. With that being said, top 10 as well. So when I'm looking at top 10 bets, example, Chase is minus 340 to 100. That means that if you wager 100, you're going to make less than what you wager. So for top 10 bets, I'm not really looking for that. I feel like the amount you'd have to risk to get like a decent payout for a lot of the favorites is not worth the risk, in my opinion. I mean, that's another thing with NASCAR betting. The sport is unpredictable. My wagers are always based on no accidents, no mechanical issues. This is all things held equal. So a lot of times, that's out of your control. Things can change in an instant, and that's an inherent risk with sports betting. I think NASCAR does have more risk than other sports because one move can change the complexity of an entire race. With that being said, some of the higher odds racers that I like this week to get a top 10. Erik Jones at 150 to 100. He's been fast everywhere we've been this year. Got a top 10 last week when he does not have a wreck or a mechanical failure. He's been very strong, and I have no reason to believe that that's not going to continue this week. I know his Richmond past is not amazing. With that being said, he does have a top 10 here back with Furniture Row Racing, and I do think that with the way that team's performing, he has a great shot at getting a top 10 this week, assuming no mechanical failures or accidents. Another pick is Chris Buescher. So this one I'm not super confident about. The odds just stuck out to me. So he's at 550 to 100, and the reason this stuck out to me is he's in the same camp as Harrison Burton, Bubba Wallace. He has less odds to get a top 10 than Justin Haley and Ricky Stenhouse. I just think, at what he is, he's a good option. I don't think he's a great option. So I'm looking at the 550 to 100 payout. I think there is an opportunity to make some there. He's the type of driver who just seems to show up in the top 10 very unexpectedly. I don't expect him to run in the top 10 all day. You really can kind of count on him to get the best finish at the end if how he's ran his entire career is indicative of how this weekend's going to go. So my final top 10 pick that I liked was Daniel Suarez. I feel super confident about this one this week. He's at 115 to 100, so it's not really a long shot odds. It is a long shot compared to some of the other people I feel similar to and similar levels of confidence of their ability to get a top 10 this week. Like, he has lower odds than Austin Cindric, Eric Almirola, same as Austin Dillon, Austin Dillon's not a terrible pick either. I did look at his history. He's got top 10s at Richmond before, and additionally, he's finished in the top 10 half of the races this year. So, I mean, I expect that to continue with past success at Richmond, running fast at most tracks. Ross Chastain got the win for that team last week. I do think that that's a solid bet for a top 10 this week. So, getting close to the end here. If you've watched this far, thank you. Long shots. So this is a section where I don't necessarily like these drivers to win. I do like that their odds are what they are. Chase Briscoe is 20-1. He's won at Phoenix. It's been fast all year. I think that odd is not right. Kevin Harvick, 16-1. This one I was kind of iffy on because Kevin Harvick has not had race-winning speed in a long time outside of Bristol last year. He has won at Richmond before. We don't know how Stewart-Haas is going to do on these short tracks, because this is like the shortest track we've been to this year. So I do think there is a potential for them to have something figured out. I mean, Chase Briscoe won for them at Phoenix, so that's not out of the realm of possibility. And I don't think Kevin Harvick is falling off. I don't think he's falling off. I think he's going to have a resurgence at some point this year. So I do think that he's a decent one. Going along with that, so Daniel Suarez is 40-1. Same reasons for him to get a top 10. I don't necessarily think he's going to win. I think that he has been in contention this year, and based on past Richmond success with how that team is running, you never know what might happen. Late Larry's restart strategy. I think 40-1 is a decent, if you just want to put like a couple dollars in on a flyer. Like, I think Daniel Suarez would be your best bet for that this week. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the winner. And so my top 3 picks to win this week, they're the same that I put in for the top 3. I planned that out. So Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, and Denny Hamlin. And I really like the winner's odds this week. So Larson's 9-1, MTJ is 9-1, Hamlin's 10-1. And so these odds may change after qualifying. An example was this year, Cole Custer was, I believe it was 20-1 when he won at Auto Club before a qualifying practice. After qualifying and practice, it went down to 7-1. So pre-qual, pre-practice are a great opportunity to go ahead and lock your bets in before someone shows speed for the weekend and these get updated. So with that top 3 being mentioned, I am leaning towards a Denny Hamlin win this weekend. And reason being, he has the strongest proven track record at Richmond. With the new car, the uncertainties with the next-gen car and how it's going to run here this week, I think that's the best thing you have to go on, is who has had the strongest track record at Richmond. I mean, like, looking back, I don't even know. I honestly don't know how many wins he has, but I know it's quite a few. I'm going to go ahead and look up that information just to strengthen my case. And a quick Google search says that Denny Hamlin has, he has 46 wins total. Google search did not make that easy. I'm going to pause this while I look up this information. Alright, so Denny Hamlin has 3 wins at Richmond, first one dating back all the way to 2006. Past success, recent success, he finished second at both races here last year. So with that being said, I do think that this week's his week. 10-1, great wager in my opinion. I do want to go ahead and close this video out. It went a little longer than I intended. I do want to say that my video editing is very novice, you're getting some raw footage. If things continue, I get suggestions, maybe work with people who have more experience in this field. We'll get like a more polished version. Going forward, I just wanted to do it tonight while I was feeling really into it, really ready to go ahead and do this. I've been thinking about doing it for a few weeks, very nervous with myself on camera. Something I'm trying to overcome, something that I want to do to maybe help out others, increase interest in NASCAR. So yeah, feel free to leave a comment, leave suggestions on how to improve, different things you want to see. I will upload one of these videos possibly for the Xfinity series as those odds come out. I'm also hoping, I'm not optimistic, I do enjoy when BetMGM does matchups. That's been one of the things I've been most successful with this year, so I am hoping that as we finish up practice qualifying, they may put some of those out. If they do, I'll do another video on those, possibly updated odds based on qualifying and practice results as well, and we'll see if that changes anything. So yeah, if you're watching this, whenever you are watching this, I want to thank you for viewing it, giving it a chance. Definitely give me feedback. I'm open to suggestions. I'm not going to get offended. So yeah, thanks again, and I hope everyone has a great day, whatever day, time it may be.